successful. Air temperature 321 degrees Kelvin. Humidity at maximum. Visibility very low.
Wait, Mr. Riggs. Stop. Look over there. Wow. I've never seen anything like this. That tree is enormous. We have to go see it up close. It's breathtaking.
I concur, Ashley. It appears to be even larger than the cloud drifters on Cephalus.
Yes, it definitely looks bigger. Let's go. We have to see it up close. It's even more impressive when we're standing close to it, but I can't really make out the structure of this great tree. It's partially covered with the same growth that we've seen come out of that flying spore that reached our HQ. The trunk appears to be intertwined in thick, thorny vines. And I see hundreds of creatures crawling amongst its branches. It looks very old and dried out. Let's go around the base of the tree. I want to learn more about it. This side of the tree is densely covered with parasite nests. The entire trunk is crawling with them. It looks like they've overwhelmed this organism and they're draining all of its life. This side of the tree doesn't look so dried out. It has visible living tissue. I can even see some resin-like substance coming out from the crevices in the trunk.
Warning! Hostile creatures are swarming down on us from the tree. Ashley, prepare to fight! A building has been destroyed.
The trunk of the tree is densely entangled with some sort of aggressive thorn vine. It almost looks like it's trying to strangle this giant organism.
Warning! I am detecting a lot of movement coming down from the tree. Ashley, get ready to fight!
Okay, Mr. Riggs. I think we should set up a research outpost at the base of this tree and learn more about the situation in this biome. I think this giant organism is the key to our riddle.
What riddle?
The pollen cloud and the gigantic flying spores trying to invade our headquarters? That's why we came here.
I am sorry, Ashley. I still have not classified those events as a threat to our mission. All of this looks like a natural part of this planet's ecosystem.
I hope you're right. Either way, I don't want to take that risk. Okay, we've got an outpost building up and running. Now we can move on to constructing the necessary research infrastructure around the tree and start gathering data about this organism.
It is going to be challenging to defend our base in the swamp. There is very little building space available, and we will not be able to rely on wind and solar energy. We should focus on more efficient energy sources, like flammable gas, nuclear, or fusion power.
We can use biocondensers to gather sludge from the mud pools all around us and convert that into flammable gas. Energy shouldn't be a problem. We just need to think different.
Extended pipelines will be difficult to defend.
That is true, but we can secure them with floating immolator towers. Plus, pipelines are cheap to rebuild. A new technology has been developed.
New blueprints are available for crafting. Research completed. New buildings are available for construction. Danger! Enemy creatures are closing in. Get ready to fight.
Under attack.
Is blowing from the sea. Heavy rainfall is expected.
The monsoon rainfall will force our solar panels to shut down, but wind power generation will increase.
Ashley, I'm detecting a lot of movement in the upper parts of the Great Tree. We should prepare to defend our base from the tree's direction.
Roger that, Mr. Riggs. Let's place some defensive towers within our base just in case. hard weather is over.
Warning! Hostile creatures are coming down the tree! Danger! A large group of creatures is coming down from the tree.
Base is under attack.
research lab in Sector B has finished gathering data.
Too close to another building of the same type.
Close to another building of the same type. A new technology has been developed.
New buildings are available for construction. Close to another building of the same type.
base is under attack. Detecting any hostile creatures on the Great Tree anymore. Threat eliminated.
I hope so. It's hard to defend from the outside and from the inside of our base at the same time.
Tower destroyed.
A new technology has been developed.
New buildings are available for construction. Close to another building of the same type. A new technology. The research lab in Sector A has finished gathering data. research lab in Sector C has finished gathering data. Ashley, all of the research stations have finished their quantum scans of the Great Tree structure. You can proceed with the analysis.
Interesting. This organism has a very complex, multi-layered structure that goes deep underground. The part that's visible above ground is primarily responsible for reproduction, which is very similar to Earth-based mushrooms.
So, what is the interesting part?
The fruit body, which we've dubbed the mushroom tree, is close to 100 meters tall. If the underground body of this fungus holds proportions similar to Earth-based fungus, this entire organism could span hundreds of kilometers. Who knows, maybe it's underlying all of this swamp.
That is a bold theory, but even if it is true, it still does not mean that this fungus is a threat to our mission on Galatea 37.
Wait, there's more. The pollen cloud that reached our base was emitted by this huge fungal species, but the larger spores that were spreading the infectious growth came from a different species. Our data shows that the invasive spores share DNA with the parasites that are crawling all over this tree.
That sounds like a typical parasitic relationship, which is quite common in nature.
Maybe, but not on this scale. These parasites have almost completely taken over this great mushroom tree. That huge spore cloud was just a manifestation of the problems to come. Imagine what could happen if a few hundred square kilometers big organism started to multiply in an uncontrolled manner. I think that this ecosystem is on the verge of collapsing and that we should try to bring it back to balance.
I am still not convinced, Ashley, but you are the boss here. What would you like to do next?
First, we should stop these parasites from multiplying any further. I don't want to use brute force against them. That could damage the organism and wouldn't be very effective. Maybe we could try to find some natural repellent that could drive them away from this tree.
I have cross-checked this parasite species' chemical spectrum against planetary quantum scans of the fungal swamp. This species appears to be commonly present in smaller populations throughout the entire biome. However, there are a few areas that are free of it.
Good thinking, Mr. Riggs. We have to check what is so repulsive in these places.
I concur, Ashley. I have marked one of these areas on the planetary scanner interface. We can go there as soon as you're ready.